Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. My name is Joseph Kopser, and welcome to the latest episode of Catalyst Talks here on the 59th day of March 2020 in an era of COVID. As you know, we focus on leadership and strategy in a changing world, and no better guest. What? Oh, here we go. Let me mute myself. Look at that. Check it out. Got another thing to work on. Boom. I had you on another site and you popped up automatically. All right, we're back.
No problem.
The beauty of live. That is the beauty of live, is getting to learn all the things I need to have ready. So let's get right into it. People are asking how we return to work. I've got a series of questions for you, Raymond, or Ramon, but
either way.
For you, Raymond. Either way, I'm happy to have Ramon Ray on, who is a speaker, author, entrepreneur. How, from your experiences, do people need to think about the future of work? And then after you kind of get into that, I got a couple of questions. We're going to keep this about 10 to 15 minutes. But with that, thank you for coming on. And thank you to Patty Kelly, who connected us. And I see now why she was so eager for me to meet you. So what do we need to know about the future of work? What are you telling people in this era of COVID?
Absolutely. And Patty, thank you so much for connecting us. But yeah, to dive right in, I'm really honored to be here, Joseph, and thank you for your years of experience in helping America and others around the world as well. So, but I think a few things, and I do come, Joseph, as you know, from the small business entrepreneurship side of the world, but also working with and observing and seeing large global companies as well. So a few things I would say. My friend John Lawson, I think he said it best. We can think of this opportunity as a time of, oh my God, it's terrible, the world's falling. Or we can possibly see as it the best of opportunities. So I think that's one. As we're thinking of this, you need to rethink how we're doing things, Joseph. And I think point two is, I posted this on Facebook yesterday, and I told young people especially, not being discriminatory here, but young people who are in college and just starting out, that you need to immediately rethink your skills, rethink what you're doing. I think that's important as well. Mark Cuban, I know he's very bullish on AI. So I think as we're thinking about the future of work, I think clearly it's going to be more home. Clearly more people who were formerly uncomfortable, Joseph, was saying, no, I need to manage my employees. Like I need to micromanage them. They need to be in a cubicle in front of me. That people, the cat's out the bag. For the half the world, of especially in America, who wasn't using virtual conferences of some sort or video, that's out the bag. So that's my 2 cents on that. I can go longer all day, but I'll pause there.
Well, you nailed it. And so I went and pulled up that Facebook posting to encourage folks to go to it. I couldn't agree with you more. Now is the time to realize that with this pause, whether you ask for it or not, whether your employers allow you to work from home or whether or not you have no income, this is a real chance for rebirth, innovation of yourself, of ideas. So let's talk about the smart hustle. You know, I grew up with this notion in the last 10 years of the importance of the smart hustle, or of what I called it back then, the side hustle. I always am curious about the next big thing. I'm always curious about how to fix something. What do you recommend for people that have always wanted to do something and maybe now COVID's their chance?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a few things. I think one, and I'll talk to two different people. One, there are smaller businesses, I think, that are out there. And I find one thing I just want to mention on the side, Joseph, is that going back to the smart hustle, you do have to do business smart. I was shocked. They did a small little survey of the number of people that are just sending a regular PDF invoice out and not an electronic invoice. Side issue, but I have to call it out because it's gritting me, is that the number of smaller businesses who don't. So that's one. Two, I would say, Joseph, talking to people who this is the opportunity, learn while you can now. Take, as you said, Joseph, we were in the green room, fail forward. You will fail. You will screw up, but learn from that. Three, the opportunity to learn, to get the tools, to experiment is now while grace is here, right? Meaning Joseph is doing this live. I'm having an echo. We rolled with it. So those are some things I would say, especially if you've lost your job or you're in a sucky predicament. Great. Now, what are you going to do about it? That's what I would say.
Well, and by the way, we're doing this live as evidenced by the fact that I had an open screen of YouTube. So as soon as you and I started talk, 10 seconds later, my YouTube page popped up and I got to listen to the sound of my voice twice. But let me just tell you one funny story about falling forward. So whatever you're doing, let's say you have always wanted to be a personal trainer. Well, now's your chance to do it virtually. Let's say what you've always wanted to do is open your own woodworking. Whatever it is that you wanted to do, to your point, Raymond, there's no better chance than doing it now. Yesterday, for instance, you talk about failing fast and failing in public. I had a new camera set up right above my screen, and 5 minutes into my discussion, the camera just went blank. And so for about 30 seconds, there was all this dead time. You could still hear my voice, but here's the kicker. I didn't go back and edit it. I didn't go back and take it out because I think there's something important for people to be what they can see, and to see me and you mess up, to have me mess up and call you Raymond when your real name is pronounced Ramon, or whatever the error is. It's important for people to see that other people are messing it up too.
That's right. It gives comfort, Joseph. You're so right. I think there's too much of this perfect stuff. I was just talking to a friend of mine just before we spoke, Joseph. He's a professional photographer. And I see some of my friends on Instagram. They have these perfect shots of them in bed with their kids or their dog. And then they whisper, Ramon, we hired a photographer. And that's all good. I'm just teasing. But we see so much of perfect. But I think seeing raw stuff is great.
And by the way, for all the photographers that are out there, hopefully you've already seen the idea of doing street side, curbside family photos. I think they're brilliant. But again, to your point, they're too perfect. I want to see a family go out there with 3-day pajamas and a kid that hasn't showered in 4 days, and let that family photo be taken, by the way. Okay, so what are some of the tools or technology that you would recommend for people that are thinking of their own pivot, their own side hustle, their own smart hustle? And by the way, your smart hustle is up here on the side for anything you want me to perhaps highlight.
Sure. Well, hey, if you call it out, if you want to, you scroll down. I think there's a tools tab there. Some tools I put together. I think it's there. If it's not there, then that's just too bad. But it's not there. But smarthustle.com/tools. But the point is that so a few things. I think one, everybody should have an electronic invoicing solution. It sounds weird and basic, Joseph, but I find that I am on the receiving end of invoices that are just PDFs. I can't click and pay. So that's one. I think two, do you have any recommended ones here?
Sure. I like promoting great ideas.
Okay, great. I'll mention some names. I have no stake in any of these, but listen, FreshBooks is great. Zoho is great. QuickBooks is great. PayPal is great.
I'm putting these down, some of these in the comment section.
Go for it.
Go ahead. Keep going.
FreshBooks, Zoho invoices, PayPal, QuickBooks. Those are just a few at the top of my weekly shaved head, Joseph. So invoices is one, digital invoices. I think two, I'm a firm believer in the aspect of CRM. Now you throttle me in, Joseph, whenever I'm going too off the reservation here, but I think
keep rolling.
CRM is great because that's how you keep in contact with your customers to know who bought one, where, and how. Some tools that I use, listen, Keep is great, KEAP. Infusionsoft is great. Zoho as well has tools for this. Contactually.
Nimble. Contactually is my favorite.
There we go. Nimble, NIMBLE, and so many others I could mention. I'm just Salesforce Essentials. Now, some people think Salesforce is just for the big companies. It's also for the little guys, because they have the Essentials program. As we know, Joseph, the hardware you have is great. I happen to use a lot of Dell technology. There's a lot of other great vendors out there. So I'll pause there, Joseph. But I mean, listen, I think that technology, it's not how much you have, it's to have what you need to do with what you need to serve your customers and grow your business.
Yeah. And, whatever medium that is, and again, we'll just stay on this idea of this podcast, this video chat, whatever we want to call it, and how it evolves. So I had a guest on, he was guest 4 or 5. And by the way, you're like number 48, 49. So I'm honored that these things continue. But what Mike Nemeth said was go from idea to action as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Quit worrying about whether or not something's going to work. Quit worrying about whether you have it right. Because especially right now, I tell everybody, I've got a Medium post on the subject. We all got knocked down. The question is, who gets back up first? Right. And I warn any listener out there, if you are waiting metaphorically or literally for business to resume before you resume, and I don't mean necessarily retail and people walking in your door. I mean, just philosophically, if you wait to resume when it's safe, you're going to be behind the power curve because there's a lot of people out there that are hustling that are not waiting. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's absolutely right. And I think part of that, only thing I'll add or compliment that, Joseph, is build the relationships now. Forget the money. Meaning, listen, full disclosure, what I'm trying to say is this, Joseph, if somebody's starving and needs food, I empathize with that. That's what family and close friends are for. You got to take care of yourself. Putting that aside now, we got food, rent. You're able to survive a bit.
The hierarchy of needs, you've got it.
Thank you. Exactly. Now, build relationships. Things like this. Forget about the check. Hey, Joseph, what's up? What are you doing? Could I be on your show? Could you be on my show? Can I learn from you? Hey, Patty. Hey, whoever's in your circle, just start to have conversations, because then you're learning, you're getting smarter, you're building trust. Then you can get a check. You'll figure that out later on. But build that relationship first, which is, Joseph, how you and I are together. So build the relationship first.
Well, that's great advice. And oh, by the way, that actually applies before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. There's no doubt there. Yeah, Jody Mixon comments, you're right. You got to invest in relationships. Right. Karma, I speak to a lot of groups, whether it's in the military or entrepreneurs that are trying to build what they're doing, or over in academia, as I work with students that are thinking about ideas, even faculty that have ideas that are trying to go out. I tell them all, do not forget that karma is real, and karma is exactly what they say it is, and how you treat people will always circle back to you.
True.
Okay, so I want to keep these short and sweet. We've already gone past 10 minutes. What is the question that I didn't ask you that you think is important for people to know in this era of COVID?
Yeah, I think that one of the questions you did not ask me, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, listen, how am I doing? I think that's one. I see it here, but I think that one is, how am I doing? And I think
that's right. How are you doing? I apologize.
I will tell you.
Getting in too quick material.
Okay, cool. I was panicked. I was stressed. I was worried 30 days ago. I quickly pivoted, and as you know, did a big event with thousands of people registered called Survive and Thrive Summit. It's over, so I'm not selling it. But the point is, it went well, and that's launched me to doing many more like that in partnership with big brands.
Awesome. So we got one more comment here. Patty Kelly writes in and says, can you share more advice for students about to graduate, looking for jobs? Our cousin Kelsey is graduating next week. And by the way, Patty, put in the comments what Kelsey is looking to do. I'd be helping to make any connections, but go ahead. What advice do you have for people about to graduate?
And congratulations, cousin Kelsey. So here's my quick tips. One, congratulations, you got the college degree, but it is just a piece of paper, a validation for larger companies to weed out people. Having said that, you have to focus on your network, as Joseph hinted. Focus on being a good person, a person of character, learning a skill set, and hard work. The degree you have is okay, but don't let that turn into a rock, a anchor, and drag you down. Still, you have to be able to innovate.
Well, let's dispel a myth, a legend, a rumor, a stereotype. For a very long time, the term networking put a bad taste in people's mouth.
Okay.
Help people understand what you mean by that term network, in case they're a part of that small community that still thinks it's a bad idea.
Absolutely. Here's what I mean by networking. By networking, what I simply mean is you're finding people who you can help or who can help you for, yes, the purpose of mutually, you hope to get yourself ahead somewhere or get them ahead. There's a bit of that, so I don't want to pretend it's just talking up the storm, but the purpose of networking is to build relationships. Because by me talking to Joseph, let's say, and I'm the college student, that means I can learn something for him. He may be somewhere where he has a need that I can do. Who was that guy again I was talking to? That shaved head guy with glasses who can help me with my Snapchat filters. That's what I mean by networking. It's not a hard sell. No. It's just showing Joseph, I'm a good guy. I got a nice smile. I'm honest. And me hearing from Joseph, he's not a jerk. He has something I can learn from him. He's somebody, older a mature person I want to learn from. We've done our job. That's it.
There you go. I would say that my wife and kids, people that know me, would push back on the mature point description of me, but I appreciate the description. One thing I'll add for Kelsey and everybody else, which is, that was a softball I threw you, because I couldn't agree with you more about the importance of staying in touch with people, networking. I wrote a paper about it years ago. I hope to remember to add that link in here. If I don't, it's mentorship. Not everybody gets it. And it breaks down the science behind mentorship and networking. But, I've been at this, Ramon, since I was in middle school, which would have been the middle 80s, when I got an IBM PC Junior in BASIC, in the computer language BASIC. I programmed the ability to create basically a contact list 30 years ago. My contactually list today, because I've kept every roster in the old days of organizations and groups when it was a dot matrix printer, I kept that printout. And I now have obviously they're not all close friends, but I've kept the contact information for about 45,000 people I've met over the last 30 plus years. So you don't have to go to that extreme, but it's powerful. You think about staying in touch with people and paying it forward. So, I have to give it to Patty Kelly. You exceeded every expectation. I suspect we're going to do this again. In fact, even Kelsey popped in. She just wanted to say thank you. Would love to be able to build my network in person, but circumstances are challenging. Yes, they are. I've done a series, Kelsey, of asking for 5-10 minutes from people.
Yes.
And it's amazing how many people will open up their network to do that. So.
And Joseph, I just want to add, Kelsey, my network's yours. So hit me up anytime. Just email me. Your people know how to get in touch with me. That's a gift to you, Kelsey. Anytime.
There you go. Well said. Okay, we're going to end on that note. I want to thank you for being here, Ramon, and we will definitely be in touch.
Thank you, man. Pleasure to be here.
So thanks for tuning in to another episode of Catalyst. As I'm learning how to do things, I want to remind everybody, shamelessly, the whole series, all these discussions center around the concepts in that book, Catalyst. Because when Brett Boyd and I wrote it, we wrote it a couple years back before COVID. But what we understood was that the leadership and strategy needed for a changing world come from all the smartest people around us, which is why I do these interviews. If there's somebody you want to hear from, if there's a topic you want covered, let me know and we'll get into it. And for everybody that tuned in today, thanks for your comments. Please share these. Please like, please follow, please subscribe, whatever it means to share the discussion. And most importantly, share the goodness and the recommendations of Ramon Ray. If you're not following him, please follow him because you can tell he is a bundle of energy with an even bigger ball of ideas. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Take care.